You're listening to Media Savvy Moms with Melody and Marilyn, a podcast by ParentsAware, your go-to for information on how to talk to kids and teens about pornography and healthy sexuality.
Hello, welcome back. I am going to spell it out right at the beginning. This episode is about you taking action. There are a ton of ways to share ideas and spread awareness that can help protect children from porn. Tweets, posts, blogs, podcasts, newspapers, demonstrations. You've done it, you get it. But if we want to see real change in our community, we have to engage the policymakers. That means getting involved just a wee bit in the legislative process. So today I'm challenging you to write one simple letter. It might not seem like a big deal, or maybe it does seem like a totally big deal because you don't like writing. But I'm going to show you how easy it is to write that letter, and especially why it's so very important that you do it immediately. In this episode, we're going to review how sites like Pornhub have been caught exploiting children. And I'm going to do that by sharing the very real story of a 14-year-old girl. Next, we're going to ask some big, important questions like, how is it that Pornhub is allowed to profit from sex trafficking and child exploitation? Meanwhile, its headquarters are here in Montreal, Canada. And finally, I will explain how you have the power to change policy and that it takes less than 5 minutes to write a letter that can have a very, very big impact. But before we dive fully into this topic, I want to acknowledge that we're going to discuss some confronting information today. Growing up in this tech-driven and media-saturated world is almost a guarantee that our children will be exposed to hardcore pornography. You've heard this before. It is not a matter of if, but when. My goal, as always, is to help you feel comfortable and confident bringing up the topic of pornography in such a way that your kids will know that they can turn to you for answers instead of Google. But I also get that bringing up the topic of pornography can feel awkward, especially when you're just getting started. That's why I created the guide, 10 Surprisingly Natural Ways to Talk to Your Kids About Porn. It's a long title, but it's a great guide, and it's designed to get you started. It's free, so download it with today's show notes, then turn all that awkwardness into something awesome. Okay, down to business. Recently, CBC News ran a story that detailed so much about what is wrong with internet porn today. The industry, of course, paints a sleek image for itself. They've convinced society that they are harmless, benevolent even, and that they provide consensual entertainment for adults from adults. It's an illusion. And thanks to a few key players, and especially to the brave survivors who are speaking up, the curtain has been pulled back and the ugly truth is being exposed. Now, this particular story is anonymous, and I chose to share it because there are no doubt thousands of young victims like her who are afraid to speak up. My question to you is, what will we do with this information? How will we give them a voice? Imagine if this were your child. She was only 14 when she entered an online relationship with a man she believed to be 20 years old. She was over the moon excited that someone so mature would be interested in her. She hoped that they would meet in person soon, but he had other designs for their relationship. The grooming process began immediately. Oh, you're so beautiful. You're so special. You're incredibly sexy. Eventually, he convinced her to participate in virtual sex. She was hesitant and uncomfortable with the thought, she explained, but at that time, she did not want to jeopardize losing her boyfriend and how that made her feel. So she did what he asked her to do, all of it. What she didn't know was that he was of course, recording and downloading it. Soon after, the boyfriend disappeared. We can only guess onto his next victim. And that is when messages started popping up on all her social media accounts. At the tender age of 14, she was being sent links to a video of herself on Pornhub. You see, for some, part of the game or the thrill of online pornography is to identify victims in real life. In the days and subsequent years since her video was first posted, she's been harassed, stalked, and threatened. Photos of her home and school and even her class schedule have been posted for others to see and find her. So she would spend hours each day searching for her name, then contacting the porn sites where she found her video, asking them to take it down. It didn't matter that it was posted without her consent. We can't verify that you're the person in that video, they'd say, so we can't remove it. It didn't matter that she was underage. Their standard excuse was, well, we have no way to verify the age of the person in the video, so we can't remove it. Eventually, she found a template for a cease and desist order. This is how this young woman describes that time of her life. You're 16 years old and you're pretending to be a lawyer so that you can get your non-consensual child pornography taken off of Pornhub. And you're reading all the comments and all these disgusting people are commenting about how you look and how great the video is. Sometimes it worked for her and sometimes it didn't. But it's certain that no one she spoke with cared that she was a victim of coercion or that she was a child. It did not faze them that they were distributing child pornography. Until March of this year, she had been dealing with this trauma alone, every single day, as do how many countless other young people. We have no idea. A threatening call from a stranger is what finally pushed her to seek help. And fortunately, very, very fortunately, the female police officer believed her as she cried out her entire story. This is not an isolated incident. Similar stories have been surfacing all year long. In large part, it's due to the tireless work of people like Lila Micklethwait. You may recall that we spoke with Lila in episode 213, Take Action, Pornhub equals Trafficking Hub. Lila started the Trafficking Hub petition and the movement to shut down Pornhub. Within a year, this petition has gathered more than 2 million signatures and spurred on demonstrations worldwide. This month, Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Nicholas Kristof grabbed the attention of the world with his New York Times article, The Children of Pornhub. It tells the story of another 14-year-old girl. But Kristof did more than shine the light on the plight of child exploitation. He asked a very important question. Why does Canada allow Pornhub to profit off of videos of exploitation and assault? It's the same question that Quebec Senator Julie Méville-Deschênes is asking the Canadian government to review with her bill S-203. And it's the same question I've been asking here at ParentsAware ever since I learned in 2017 that Pornhub is owned by MindGeek and has headquarters in Montreal, Canada. Pornhub and MindGeek's top executives continue to profit off the victims of child sexual abuse, sex trafficking, rape, and non-consensually produced pornography uploaded to their website. How is this even possible? One does not have to be a legal scholar to understand that what Pornhub and MindGeek is doing flies in the face of criminal law. The criminal code here states very clearly that every person who makes, prints, or publishes child pornography is guilty of an indictable offense. Yet not a single charge has ever been laid against Pornhub or MindGeek for the child pornography found on their site and distributed through them. The criminal code also states that everyone who makes available or advertises an intimate image of a person that did not give their consent or is reckless as to whether that person gave their consent, is guilty of an indictable offense. Yet, not a single charge has ever been laid against Pornhub or MindGeek for the non-consensual materials found on their site and distributed through them. And, by the way, it is also an offense to distribute sexually explicit material to a person under the age of 18 years. Yet not a single charge has ever been laid against Pornhub and MindGeek, although they have done nothing to prevent minors from accessing their site, despite the technology available to do so. The list goes on and on. But let's go back to the story of our 14-year-old girl. When a child victim finds out that an intimate photo, video, or rape of them has been recorded and published on Pornhub, it's not because a loving, caring adult has reached out. No, they usually find out from their classmates or through social media. It's devastating. Other 14-year-olds are looking at and sharing images and videos of their child peers. And this is all orchestrated through Pornhub. And they get away with it by claiming third-party immunity. Oh, we're not guilty, they say. We didn't make or post the content. How can we control what others upload to our user-generated platform? One of the problems we have is that the laws surrounding sexually explicit content and child pornography predate the internet. And these laws are not equipped to account for platforms that distribute user-generated content. So sites like Pornhub have found the loophole that has made them very rich while facilitating practices that in the offline world would very much be indictable offenses. So enter Senator Julie Méville-Deschênes and Bill S-203. I first met the senator on March 8th, 2020, for International Women's Day. We both stood in demonstration against Pornhub and MindGeek in front of their offices in Montreal. On September of this year, she told me that she was presenting a new bill in the Senate to make it illegal for porn sites like Pornhub to distribute pornography to minors. This is an incredibly important first step in protecting children from online exploitation. As the senator explains, if you are a minor, you cannot see a movie if it's classified 18 years and over. If you're a minor, you can't buy a Playboy. But if you're a minor, you have complete, unfettered access without barriers of any kind to 4.5 million porn sites around the world. She asked me to submit a statement to the press in support of Bill S-203. I gladly did so. As a society, we tend to imagine the porn industry as consensual entertainment catering to adults, but the reality is that children are landing on these sites where they find extreme, violent, and often illegal sexualized content. It is both dangerous and irresponsible of Canada not to implement age verification on pornographic websites when we have the technology to do so. What I have since learned, and what is most important to the success of Bill S-203 or other legislation, which I promise is coming soon, is for civil society to be engaged in the process. That's you and me. Our job is to write an email to Senator Julie Méville-Deschênes and the Minister of Public Safety in support of Bill S-203. Those letters of support can then be presented in the Senate to show that this is something the public is deeply concerned about. Fortunately, ParentsAware is connected with Defend Dignity, a beautiful organization here whose mission it is to end all forms of sexual exploitation in Canada. They have a letter written and ready to go. All you need to do is enter your name and address plus 1 or 2 lines of your own to ensure that the letter is read. This letter will be sent from your email address, not from Defend Dignity. To take this simple action, visit defenddignity.ca/get involved. I will post the link in the show notes so you don't have to worry about writing it down here. The whole process will take you less than 5 minutes. Petitions, demonstrations, sharing blog posts, and podcasts, they're all good, but they cannot motivate policy change the way a letter or an email can. We are at the tipping point, friends. Now is the time to take action. Send a clear message to the policymakers that we can no longer turn a blind eye to the exploitation of children facilitated by the porn industry in our own backyard. So to recap, you can tell that I am very passionate about this. Pornhub and other porn sites have told victims of rape, abuse, and non-consensual uploads that they cannot verify or remove their content, even when the victim is a child. And children have full access to this material online. Next, there needs to be legal reform in this country and countries around the world to ensure that porn sites cannot continue to profit from child exploitation, rape, and sex trafficking. If we want to see real change in our community, then we have to engage our policymakers. To push forward this kind of legislation, concerned citizens must make their voice heard. Writing an email is still the most effective way to voice your opinion, and we've made it easy. So, I'm sure you've guessed what the challenge for today is. It is for you to send a letter of support for Bill S-203. And if you're not a resident of Canada, that's okay. You can support the bill as well. There is a non-resident option for you to click. So simply go to defenddignity.ca, click on the Get Involved tab, use the form provided, enter your name, email, and address. Add 1 or 2 lines of your own, something like, I'm a mom or a dad of 3, 4, 5 kids, whatever. This is important to me, and it is important to me that we protect our children from exposure to pornography. Done. That's it. Hit send. The email will be sent from you, and I can almost guarantee that Senator Méville-Deschênes will reply to you by the end of the day. I am so passionate about this. Your letter is what is necessary to put action behind the stories that have broken this year. So please, 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 also tell me when you have sent the letter. This is just the beginning of better days. The world is waking up to the very real harms that porn is inflicting on kids. Be a part of that change. We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Media Savvy Moms podcast. For detailed show notes and links to any of the resources mentioned today, visit parentsaware.info. To connect with us on social media, find us on Instagram at Media Savvy Moms and on Facebook and Twitter at ParentsAware. We would love to get your feedback. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review wherever you listen to this podcast. Until next week, let's keep talking.